Okay, this is going to be a little different of one of my little build day vlogs. I have a lapel mic. Actually, I've had this mic for a while. Before we dive into the meat and bones of this video, I want to talk about this stupid little mic. I've had this mic for a while. It's what I use for recording my audio when I do my motorcycle vlogs, so you don't just hear the GoPro in the wind. It normally sits in my helmet. This is about as long as the wire is. It's a little bit longer, but I can't really tuck it out of the way. When I bought the mic, it came with an extension, and I thought to myself, I don't need this extension inside my motorcycle helmet, but I might need it in the future, so I'm going to hold on to it. And then this morning, I spent about 10-15 minutes and said, I can't find it. I'm not going to bother looking for it anymore. I don't want to waste too much time. So just have to deal with it. I know I have it. I know I've used it before. I just don't know where I put it after the last time I used it. I have so many wires, and none of them are the right one. So for this vlog build video, it's going to be a little longer, and I'm going to have to do some video editing. Ugh, I hate video editing. I actually wanted to do some work. I didn't want to just hold up parts of robots and be like, oh, look. So that's why the camera angle isn't on my face today. It's more on my workbench. Here's offbeat frame number 3. I've taken all the electronics out of it. I've left the motors in. One of these two motors, and I think I want to say it's the right side one. I think this one is bad, so I got to replace it anyways. But I've taken the motor and the wheels off. I'm leaving the old motors in, or taking electronics out, and the wheels off because I'm going to move them to offbeat frame number 4. Which you can see I've already started. Like, I've got the motors in place here, at least somewhat. I've got the connectors in. I still have to. I wrap them in electrical tape. I would have done the heat shrink tube right here, but I ran out of heat shrink tube of this diameter. I have some more of the little brass coppery connector ends that I have to attach to our weapon motor ESC so I can then connect it to our weapon motor. And I have to cut this weapon motor shaft down, but really the goal today is just to get the electronics in the robot, and then I can button up everything else. And we're gonna just do a weight, but I wanted to actually be doing something with my hands other than just talking and not actually showing any progress. So yeah. While I'm working on the robot though, that's probably not good. So we got these little pinion gears got to put on here now. Previously, we'd put them like all the way down here, and they were only partially meshing with the teeth on our wheels. In fact, you can actually see on our wheels, we have plenty of teeth, but then there's this darker line. That's where the gears were actually meshing. So I'm going to make sure that when I put these pinion gears on, I'm going to put them as close to the edge as I can get. It helps if I have the right size bit on there. And what I should probably do is find my file and file the motor shaft ever so slightly right there to give us a nice spot for that set screw to bite into. But yeah, I think that's going to be okay. I think that will be okay. We'll find out. So we're going to put that in there. And does this hole line up? You hope the hole lines up, and then luckily this material is squishy enough that I can just press the screw through the hole. I don't have to like sit there with a screwdriver and turn it for 20 minutes till it bites its way through. But it does mean that I have to put a nut on the back of every screw that I put in here. And it does mean that I can over tighten the screw and just drill it into the material. So we got one screw there to hold that motor on. Still got good rotation. That's one thing I check too. Once I put the screws in, and that screw hole is not going to line up. Once I put the screws in, I make sure the motor's still going to rotate, because one of our previous versions of the robot, the screws that held the gears on, frame number 1, these screws that held the gears on were slightly too long and actually ended up meshing, or one of them was a little too long, and I never noticed it until after the fact. but it was actually going into through the mounting point of the motor and interfering with the the windings on top of the motor. It was actually grinding into that and caused damage to the motor. The trick is, the thing with these brushless motors too, is they put 4 screw holes in, right? They put 4 screw holes in the top of the motor. This is one of our motors. They put 4 screw holes in, right? But they're all different distances apart. So you have to like twist the motor into just the right position, so that way when you put it in here, and I know it's kind of hard to see on camera because I got it at an angle that works for me, and there's metal brackets in the way, but I have to line up these holes. Oh, that's a rubber band from somewhere. I thought I threw away. I'm going to put that in. So in my previous video, I think I talked about in one of my previous videos about potentially going to January Norwalk. Oh man, that looks so good. Let's just see how well this is actually going to fit. So January Norwalk, Norwalk Havoc Robot League is one of the largest. I would make the argument that Norwalk Havoc Robot League is one of the largest robot competitions outside of Battlebots. Oh boy, I'm going to need that bearing right there is completely shot. I'm going to need some more bearings for these wheels. Robert, Robert, need more bearings. Anyways, it's one of the largest. I would argue that it's one of the largest competitions outside of Battlebots. In terms of just sheer number of people going. You know, more people obviously watch Battlebots on TV because, oh, big robots, big TV. Brr, 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 brr. I'm trying to put this. I don't want to use this one anyways because that one is falling apart. Like that whole bearing is shot. I gotta print new of these. So we have these little shafts. And then we have bearings on our wheels, and the shaft slides through there, and then our bolt that holds the wheel on goes through. The back wheels, these bolts are pretty much embedded in that TPU, and these rear shafts, they're not. There's a little bit of slop in that, but it's for another project for another time. I gotta print up some more parts. All right, get in there. Anywho. In January, Norwalk is doing their New Year New Robots competition. It's a competition specifically for people who have never competed, or for robots that have never competed at Battlebots. Now at Norwalk. Now there are quite a few teams that are, you know, have competed at Norwalk before, but they are bringing brand new robots. That's the whole idea. It's all new designs, all new competitors, or hopefully all new competitors. Oh, look at that. We're getting way more meshing now. That gear is definitely biting more into the wheel teeth. That's going to solve one of our drive problems, and that was these gears slipping. Now I will be replacing these wheels. I'm just putting these wheels on to kind of get an idea of how everything's going to fit together. Anywho, New Year, New Robots competition at Norwalk in January, at the end of January. It's January 28th. It will be live streamed on the Norwalk YouTube. Please check it out because and this isn't the first time I've said this online so far. I've said it in a couple Discords. I've said it on my live stream last night. I'm recording this on Saturday morning. But I am going to Norwalk. I'm super excited. I'm going offbeat, and everyone pretty much on my little team here. So Robert, we've got Robert, who's formerly from Team Jackpot. We got Price from Team formerly from Jackpot. And last season, well, when I say last season, the most recent season of BattleBots, World Championship 7, which was airing, what, January 5th? I think? I don't remember. I haven't written it down. You would think someone who enjoys BattleBots as much as I do would know this information off the top of my head. Yeah, January, well, anyways, price from Team Horizon is going, well, as of the last conversation I had with her, she is going. Now, that could be subject to change. You know, people, I'm trying to think and talk at the same time. You know, people's schedules change and availability changes, but it's sounding more and more like price. It sounds like price is going to go. So we'll have at least 3 people on my team. Robert's also bringing a 12-pound robot. At least he's working on it, last I saw. And I was just trying to get this screw in here, and it just, like, the wires that for the motor are causing the motor to twist out of position while I'm trying to twist the motor into the right position, and I don't have nearly the working room that I would like to have. There we go. Anyways, he's bringing a 12-pound robot. I'm bringing a 3-pound robot. We also have Price, who's going to be running a mini-bot for Offbeat. That's right, Offbeat's getting a mini-bot. And the way Norwalk Havoc's rules work, your mini-bot doesn't necessarily count towards your robot's total weight. We're getting tangled up in that. It's an additional 1 pound of weight that you can have for your robot. All right, let's see. That's in there. I'm happy with that. That gear's not going to turn. Let's go ahead and put. Can I get this? I know this one wasn't going in earlier. I just wanna. Why I'm not putting the front wheels on? Well, it's because I have to actually drill out these holes on the side of this house for this. So these holes here for the screws, these are the bolts that we use, not big enough. So I got to drill that hole out. So that's why I'm not putting the front wheels on at this moment. And this whole bearing is shot. Actually, this one is good. This one here is disintegrating every time I take this robot apart. So yeah, that's going to need replaced. And I'm out of these bearings. I gave the last of these bearings to fellow competitor at Titanic Takedown, actually. I gave them to Nick and his son for their robot. That didn't even compete. It didn't even work. It wasn't working at the time. So yeah, I've got my flight booked. I've registered, paid my registration fee. Flight is booked. As of recording this, don't have my hotel room booked yet. We're waiting on. I'm waiting for Price to give me her share of the money. We're splitting the room, and then I will be. Come on, get in there. There it goes. And then I'll be booking the hotel room. But yeah, that's like I'm all set to go pretty much. Some of the stuff I have to do still before we go to Norwalk, I have to finish printing up all of the titanium wheel components, which isn't actually a whole lot. I just have to print up the collars. I'll get this screw in here and then I can show you that part I'm talking about. Like I said, I got to replace these bearings anyways. I don't want to back this screw in and out 10 times, so I'm just going to put it in once. Hopefully it all lines up and works. It's all lining up, and oh man. Look at how much, yeah, just adjusting those bolts out, I'm getting so much more bite on there. This one needs replaced, but yeah. Let me kind of half-buttedly tuck all my electronics in. So all the electronics will actually sit in the robot right here. And then our power switch will probably be located right here because that's where I've been putting it. And then our battery sits in this little cubby compartment right here. So on my previous videos, I talked about the titanium wheels. So I got to 3D print some more hubs like this in TPU, and I'm going to do them in black. These collars or spacers, I'm going to do them in the red. So you'll have that nice black and red contrast that Offbeat's kind of known for, since our original frame was black. And then our titanium, I'm going to probably get some red spray paint and paint them red just to make them stand out. And I'm probably going to repaint our plow here red as well. I'm going to sand this down. I like this, but this was just a quick and dirty. I didn't want it to just look like bare steel for the stream, so this will probably get repainted red, and then I might repaint the frames. I might hit the frames with black, but that also does add weight, and I don't know if I want to add that much weight. But it's really cool. So if you guys are familiar enough with BattleBots, you might know the BattleBot Malice, run by Bunny Sorial and her amazingly awesome team. I've met several people from her team. I think her driver, I want to say it's her driver. He lives here in Vegas as well. And he's been to a couple of our competitions. Super chill guy. Like, they're awesome. They're fun. Anywho, Bunny has a 3D printing service. So if you have something that you need 3D printed, you can head over to Malice's website, and I'll put a link in the description below. And you can send them the file, and they'll get you a quote, and they will get that 3D printed. So if you don't have a 3D printer, but you want to get into combat robots, and you have a design, there are options. There are people out there who will do 3D printing for you. And Malice is one of them. And the reason why I'm shouting them out, and I don't know if it's official, I don't know what the level of officiality is to it, but I'm technically sponsored by them. So basically what happened is Robert wanted to get these printed out of a much stronger material than TPU. This is TPU, which is, it's about the same kind of rubber that you might feel on a Lego wheel. So it is rubber, it is squishable. But he wanted to print it out of a much stronger material, and TPU just wasn't going to cut it for the level of competition that we're going to be facing at Norwalk. Oh man, that's going to look so good. So he's getting it printed out of a different material through Bunny's 3D printing service. And he reached out to her and he said, you know, what kind of deal can you give us on 3D printing? Bunny, I guess, got back to him and said, you know, slap a Malice sticker on the robot and I'll do it for free. I think that was or not free, but do it at a discount or a good rate. I think that was the deal. I'm trying to find out if this is the right size nut to go on these, and I can't get it to thread, so I don't think it is. I have some nuts that are probably the right size. I don't know where they are. I have this miscellaneous box of screws. No, I needed that. And this miscellaneous box of screws. So yeah, so we're gonna have some 3D printed parts printed by Team Malice, which is gonna be, I'm excited for that. What I'm doing is I'm going through my miscellaneous nuts and bolts here and seeing if I have any that are the right size and thread to go on for parts of the frame. So far I have found one. That's not a good sign. I have a whole nother box of nuts and screws. This is just my miscellaneous bucket that I keep floating around. And then this is kind of the cup that I keep for everything else. So, but yeah, so I still have a lot of work here to do, and it's going to require me to get up. But yeah, that's where we're at. I have a link in the description below to my PayPal if you guys want to chuck a couple bucks my way. You know, if you throw more than $25 in, I will write your name somewhere on the robot. You know, maybe on the bottom, maybe on our top plate. Oh, one other thing that you may notice here, and I mentioned this to Robert, and he's like, he didn't say, he knew everything. So this is how Offbeat frame number 3 looked, right? Weapon motor on this side, electronics bay over here, battery bay here. Offbeat frame number 1 and 2, yeah, 1 and 2, both had this same layout. Weapon motor this side, weapon here, electronics bay here, battery bay here. Offbeat 4 is inverted. Weapon motors here, electronics bays here. I'm not bummed by it, but I'm just like, it threw me off when I first saw this version of the frame. But we still have our bushings, or not our bushings, our bearings. We're going with the bearings here. So, oh yeah, that's gonna really. We're going back to the through bolts. The reason why we avoided the through bolts in the first place, and I've actually got the wrong screws here, because I have sitting right here. I could have probably drilled that through. This one I probably will actually have to drill through. And I'll have to find a bigger nut for this one. But I have these countersunk screws, and these holes on the bottom look to be countersunk. So I could probably find the right size bit. Here we go. And do this, and do this. We're about to make some noise, and that's the wrong thing. This is the right thing. And this is the right tool for the job. Let's see if this actually countersinks. Oh, that looks so good. Oh, that was one of our big problems, is our weapon kept leveling the screws on the bottom. That countersunk screw is going to be real nice. Now you notice I drilled and stopped, drilled and stopped, drilled and stopped. When running a bolt through any 3D printed material, it gets hot. And with 3D printed materials, you got to get them hot to melt them. So I go either slow or fast in short little bursts like that to reduce the heat. Now it's still hot enough it's going to burn my fingers, but I'm going to have to cut this down, obviously, but I have these countersunk screws that are going to do, I think are going to be really, really nice for just keeping that flush. So yeah, I have a lot more work to do still, but I'm at the point where I'm like, oh man, this is a 20-minute video, and I don't know if you guys want to keep watching a 20-minute video. I will catch you guys all in another video. I'm recording this on December 31st, so hope the rest of your year is going good. Please tune into Noronk Havoc in January 28th, and even if you're not cheering for me, just tune in. Numbers get numbers. The more people watching, the more people are going to want to watch. I don't know exactly when I will be fighting, because they haven't released the brackets yet. They probably won't release the brackets until the day before or a couple days before. And even then, I'm going to be so busy building my robot, I won't have the time to be on social media and being like, oh, I'm up to fight now, guys. Come watch, tune in right now. I won't have that time. So put it on in the background, and if you hear offbeat, switch to it, But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you had a great 2022, and let's hope that 2023 of combat robotics for me goes places. I'm really hoping this is how I get into BattleBots. Later.